Greetings, adventurers, and welcome to Dungeons&Discourse, a D&D discussion podcast where we talk about all things related to Dungeons & Dragons, be that fun in the game, playing the game, or particularly, in the case of this episode, relating to languages. I'm your host, Carlo, and today I am joined by...
Walter?
Yes, as always. How are you doing, Walter?
I'm doing great.
Yeah?
I'm feeling good.
Cool, yeah, me too. It's been quite a while since we've recorded our last episode.
Yeah, well...
It always feels so self-serving to say that you have a busy life, right? But
yeah,
I feel like it's truly...
Also,
it's been tough to find the time.
This podcast is more for, enjoying ourselves and just having fun with the topic of D&D.
Yeah.
And, if you don't feel like it, you don't feel like it for a while.
No, that's also very true. And I wouldn't even say it's that, right? I mean, there's certainly moments where I'd say, gotta go see Walter again. It's borderline charity work.
I feel the same for you. Yeah.
But no.
It's always such a hassle with you.
I'm joking. Yeah, exactly. I don't even know why I'm here right now. In fact,
you might
permission to end the podcast? Permission to leave right now?
No.
Okay, well, I tried, people, so don't blame me if it's going to be a bad episode.
You also might want to adjust your mic because it's really on the edge of the table.
Well, I'm not going to do that because I want to defy you, in fact.
Alright, well, great. Languages!
Oh, I see. It actually is a bit too close to the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah. People are going to hear the mic shuffling now and they're going to be angry.
Well, languages.
Yeah, we got to get some of the poison out of this. We aired some dirty laundry, which we don't actually have. Maybe we should
I think you should just shut up for a second.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. Take the floor, take the stage.
So,
go ahead.
We all know different races have different languages and stuff. But common is like the normal language in D&D. But putting languages out there might be really challenging as for a DM, but it might be a really fun thing to encounter as a player.
Well, how would you say... Because implementing languages is a very complicated, it's a very broad thing, right? How would you... What do you mean with implementing them?
So, if you got some adventurers running around the city and following this crime boss, for example, and suddenly they find some text which is written in a language none of them know, and they go and decipher it, and they find out it's something like, let's say, infernal.
Okay, yeah.
And so that might be some nice foreshadowing that the crime boss might be involved in some demonic heresy. Let's just call it that.
Yeah.
And it might be, there might be a tiefling in the party that just happens to know the language. But it also might be a nice challenge to...
Now, how is it a challenge, actually? Just saying, this language is here. I guess
it might be like a secret message they got our hands on while
but you mean from a player perspective?
A place, yeah.
I see. I always have my DM goggles on now. As a player, of course, coming across new languages is always a bit of a difficult thing.
Because every language has like a typical speaker in D&D. Like common is normally the I see you smiling. You want to say something? Go ahead.
No, it's fine.
No, go ahead. Don't sip tea. I want to hear your thoughts. Come on.
Yeah, no, I wanted
spit them to me, or
So, what I wanted to say was that being a player and coming across languages, it can be... Well, I wouldn't necessarily say it's challenging, but it's a very interesting thing, right? Because if you're a DM and you're using languages, you can really use them as a tool. So... You just mentioned foreshadowing, which would indeed be the point you were touching on, that,
one of many.
Different creatures speak different languages, so you can imply that certain forces are at work that players might not know about. But even besides that, I think creating a language barrier between NPCs and players,
especially
is really fun.
On your Underdark campaign, we have an example of the party following or shadowing some drow, and the drow they talked Undercommon. No one of us know Undercommon, and you role played.
How was that? How did no one speak Undercommon? Was that a prerequisite to that campaign? Because we all knew it was going to be the Underdark campaign, right? Or maybe I asked people not to. Actually,
you ask people not to metagame. So
right, because the entire point was that you would all be unfamiliar with the Underdark.
Yeah,
that was it. Yeah.
So we were not allowed to just say, "Oh well, I have a ranger with the favorite type as the Underdark," because that would be an huge metagame.
Yeah.
And so no one in the party had Undercommon, but these two drow we were shadowing, were speaking Undercommon, and it was our first encounter with the drow, so it was actually pretty intimidating meeting them.
Yeah, that's also what the vibe I was trying to create.
Yeah.
In that case, you would use a language barrier to kind of, I'd say it'd almost be an extra form of hostility, right? Because these drow could be discussing anything with each other, and it might even imply some form of danger to the party.
Yeah.
I think it's really nice.
It's that sense of not the unknown, but the that there might be danger and you don't have control over it. But they are, intelligent creatures, so you might talk your way out of it if you knew their language.
Yeah, being unable to do that.
Yeah,
is it introduces such a barrier almost, right? Because you can try to get around it. You can play Pictionary with your foes, but considering the fact that they're drow,
potential foes.
Yeah. But even then, right, considering the fact that they're drow, they're heavily armed and are known to capture the odd slave or two.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the feeling they're not really inclined to play Pictionary with you, So it really, it introduces a lot of drama, I think.
Yeah.
But there are also other ways to incorporate languages, I'd say. You can also use them as a plot device, which I think that's in the campaign we're running now, the Morning Bane campaign. I don't know if we've mentioned this campaign before. We should introduce it or not, or if we can just brush past it.
I think we brushed past it quite a few times, but when the podcast started, we weren't playing yet. So.
That's right. Well, maybe we'll discuss it later, because it's really a minor point. But you guys were tasked with going to a village that had some bullywugs, which have their own language, bullywug. So it's really a unique language, right? You're not going to have a player character that speaks that unless they themselves are...
No.
Maybe a grung, it would make sense to pick that language. But in any other case, it's not smart to pick that.
It's not a normal language you can pick up from the player's handbook. The languages there are common from humans, dwarves from dwarves. Then you have the bit weirder ones
there's orc and goblin in there, right?
Orc, goblin, but also the exotic languages. The languages branded as exotic are, like I previously mentioned, infernal,
the point of
primordial, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. The point of that, of course, setup with the Bullybooks was that you guys didn't speak it, so now you had to find a person that could either teach you or find a way to figure it out.
We were low level, and we in the party actually had the spell Comprehend Languages. But then again, Comprehend Languages is only you can read and understand the spoken language, but you can't actually speak it. You would need the 3rd level tongues spell for that. Actually, thing I noticed, I mentioned this before, but any spells that comprehend languages, tongues, detect thoughts, detect magic, that kind of stuff, it bothered me. That's all divination magic.
Mm-hmm.
That's all nicely grouped together.
Yeah, well, I think it kind of makes sense, because it's the same with, I think, evocation, right? That's all elemental type stuff. I might be quoting my magics wrong, but I think it's evocation, right?
Evocation with the mental?
That's like elemental, right? Or no?
That's like... I know Firebolt is one.
Well,
but then,
let's just assume
let's say Acid
or...
Splash is like a conjuration.
Oh, okay, maybe it's not all like that.
Yeah.
But overall, like, languages have a theme, I say. So I think it just... spells have a theme. So I think it makes sense that maybe just the concept of divination... most... Or like, out of all the different types of magic, most... what's the word? It has the most in common with languages, maybe, or like primarily overlaps with it when you compare it to the others. So maybe it just make the most sense to pick divination. You know, you wouldn't make a different type of magic that's specific to languages. So you'd have to make a wizard subclass for it.
Every spell like related to languages is divination. That I just noticed that.
It's a nice factoid.
Yeah,
it's cool. Yeah.
It's I wanted to mention it. I not any further added value to it. I think I was talking about like the bullywugs, right?
Yeah.
We had this language comprehend languages.
Mm-hmm.
So we can understand them, or one of us could understand them, but we couldn't talk back. And then you get that language barrier stuff about playing like. What did you call
Pictionary,
it?
Right?
Pictionary, yeah. Pictionary with your potential enemies.
Yeah, and even then I'd say that if you have comprehend languages, if you're overconfident with that and stroll in being like, oh, I'm going to understand every single thing about these creatures, that's certainly not the case. I think there's a campaign that's ran by someone else that we've wanted to have as a guest on the podcast. Well, we might get around to that at some point.
Yeah.
But he runs a campaign that is where he also had this a language barrier problem where he wanted to converse with some goblins, and we tried using comprehend languages, and we quickly realized that if you can only hear someone and not speak to them, it becomes it very quickly becomes a problem.
Yeah.
So even if you have first level spells, it's still not always a perfect way to get around language problems. So if you're a DM that's using low levels, then it's certainly possible to just use your players not being able to speak a language to use it as a plot device. Maybe it's like a MacGuffin, right? You need this to be able to speak the language before you can progress and resolve this encounter peacefully.
That way, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a progress slower.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Because I don't want to say stopper because it is
you never stop your players, right? Because I don't know if that's like classic railroading, but it's certainly, I guess it's fencing in your campaign, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But if you
forcing your solutions,
yeah, exactly,
to be the only solution is not the way to run D&D.
No. Well, that's why I think languages are nice, because they're not an absolute thing. Because still, if you don't want to speak someone's languages, then you cannot. And if that means that you, in the end, that leads to a fight, then that's just that. And the players deal with that. But if you know your party is inclined to peaceful solutions, then you can use that. In fact, you could also use it the other way around, right? If you don't want your players to resolve something peacefully, you could
language barrier and some pretty hostile or desperate goblins.
Exactly, a language barrier is a great way to do that as well. So I think it's really a good tool if you're a DM to be aware of. So I think implementing it can be very easy, right? Because indeed saying, oh, there's some infernal script here. If one of you speaks it, that character gets to have their moment.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you can already set up some foreshadowing for indeed some devils or that will be involved.
The thing I also wanted to talk about is like the bit more common languages, like Dwarven, Elvish, maybe Gnomish, those languages.
Yeah.
I feel like a normal player or normal party would cover those.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And so they never really in my experience as a DM, never really stand out or are used as much as the exotic languages or something as goblinoid.
No.
What is your take on that?
It kind of depends. I think if you're making a character yourself and you have to choose your languages, I'd personally always try to stick true to what that character actually is or would be. And in most cases, your character won't have a logical reason to understand most of the exotic languages. So most likely you are going to have a lot of languages that you know from the common category, right?
Yeah.
And even within that common category, like stuff like Goblin and Orcish, I mean, I'd say you still need a valid reason to speak those. Because I guess it depends on campaign setting, but I'd say that you can assume at least for regular D&D, that Orcish isn't a language that they'd speak a lot in every town. So even then,
also depends on the typical speakers of that language and the campaign setting. Yeah,
it could even be location based. If you're in a city that trades a lot with an orc settlement, then it would make sense for your character to speak Orcish.
Yeah.
But I personally vouch for mostly sticking with the common languages and building a character, and thus
definitely
because of that, you'll of course also have a party that speaks a lot of those common languages. I've and actually has this pool of all of these at some point, most likely.
I've actually a few like encounters planned, for your campaign.
Ooh,
or for my campaign, which you play in.
Yeah.
Like there are cities or places when people just blatantly, people who are not merchants refuse to speak common out of stubbornness, and I think you might know because of the word stubbornness. You might figure out where
Germany in my vacation. Speaking English to foreigners because I refused. Also because I don't speak German.
Yeah, but
it's a very. I think once you've been in that position, it makes a lot of sense. Sorry, a bit of a derail. I'm sorry. Please continue.
No, but that's my take on those languages, because common is mostly everyone speaks it. You're gonna get around using common everywhere, but those languages of Elvish, Gnomish, and Dwarfish, you rarely get to experience that. That's my experience. You rarely get the difference in experiencing that. So I purposefully set up some encounters in some cities or places which a dwarven kingdom which only speaks dwarven, and common is only used for those low enough to speak to humans, you know?
That's actually quite nice, because it also kind of rewards players for still picking those more common languages.
Yeah, and the people that might feel completely out of place because they don't know dwarfish, I don't know. It creates an interesting aspect next to just using the languages, that you also have to deal with not being native to that region or that language.
It enforces a certain feeling as well.
Yeah.
Right. That maybe you are in a different place, different culture, and it's the fact that there's a different language is already
a different culture. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a nice way to describe it.
Yeah. It kind of has this thing of like, oh, we have to adjust now.
Yeah.
It's nice. Yeah. I like that. Actually, if you are still struggling with incorporating common languages, I might have a good tip for any players that are listening right now. And that is to find a language that is not just common as language, but still a language that is relatively common, so Dwarfish or Elfish. And if multiple of your party members speak that could be a good language to use in combat if you're discussing plans. Because if you're fighting goblins, which speak common and goblin, if you're using the raw stat blocks, then they're gonna just hear it if you say, oh, flank that guy, and then they're gonna try to not get flanked. But if you communicate these things in Elvish, then they can't understand, and they won't be able to prepare for that.
Yeah.
Most likely, the DM isn't going to, really keep track of that in combat, because when there's combat, there's like a million different things going on. But if you keep doing that consistently, then I feel like at some point, it'll just become a natural part of combat. It'll make things more realistic, but it'll also give you a better edge as a group of players, and of course also aid in roleplay, because you have to like think about, oh, maybe this player doesn't speak this language. Now we got to teach him, or we got to find ways to still make use of these little tricks. I think that's nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think language is kind of a difficult topic. I don't know if you had anything else prepared or.
The scripts. There's certain.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. Yeah,
like certain languages. Like, for example, Dwarvish, Orc, and Goblinoid use the same scripts, and so some words in those languages are also the same.
Yeah. But when it's written, they use the same letters.
Yeah, but also written, but sometimes also sounds and meanings can be straight up the same. But did you ever incorporate that in anything?
I think it's different. It's difficult because if you're, let's take this as a real word for an example.
You do have to give it a thought because...
Yeah, but even then, English and Dutch use the same script.
Yeah.
Right? But still, if you actually don't speak English, you still have a hard time understanding it, even though there might be some overlap.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'd maybe... I don't know. How would you treat it? Say a player would be deciphering a language that they don't know, but they do know the script. How would you rule that?
I like to give them hints. And make them roll something like intelligence check, something like history or something if they reading it, or something like insight if they are hearing it from something. Like if a player knows Dwarvish and they're fighting a group of orcs, you might be able to understand an orc giving commands, and you might, if you roll high enough, understand what he's commanding and to who. Or if you're reading a text of a Sylvan, and you know Elvish, because those also share a script, you might be able to pick about a few keywords that not allow you to completely understand it, but do pick up the general flow of the text and make your own interpretation with those few words that you can.
I think that works. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a nice way of incorporating that. I would go along the same lines. I think that's good advice. Yeah.
But then again, it is quite hard to know which languages share a script.
Yeah, it's something you'd really have to look up.
Yeah.
I don't think I've personally ever used it.
No, but I'd really... Personally, as a DM, I really want to, but I've never had an occasion of that actually happening.
Yeah. Once again, I'd say if you're a player, try to be on that. Just ask your DM, maybe is there like an overlap in script? Then they're going to be like, oh, you're making me look this up now. But, if you can get that edge.
Yeah, if you as a player say, like, you find some scrap, some text and... a player recognizes it as Sylvan and they know Elvish. If you mention that to your DM, they might give you something or nothing at all. It depends on the DM, but I like to think that...
Well, everything depends on the DM. That's D&D, right?
Yeah.
Every table's different, of course. Yeah, I think that's what I would do. Or I think that's at least sound advice to give. Yeah. Actually, one thing we also should touch upon is the two class-specific languages that are also there, which are Druidic and Thieves' Cant.
I actually read up on those.
Okay, then you did more reading than me.
It was just a little, but I found out that Druidic is actually a different kind of language. So it is a literal language, as in you can write and read it.
Okay, yeah.
And Thieves' Cant isn't.
It's like slang, right? And like
it's more like...
little movements and stuff.
Yeah, it's more
gestures.
like using gestures and certain words and incantations, maybe not the accurate description, but wording something in a specific way that it doesn't sound conspicuous, but it means something different than you're saying.
Yeah. That some convoluted English word were too
Yeah.
large to understand.
And both in speech and in like movement, you can use thief scan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think they're quite nice. They're very niche because there's a 1 in 12 chance that a player speaks them. 1 in 13, I guess, after the artificers are a thing that so many classes are. Well, of course, anyone can homebrew a class, so the chance becomes even larger, but let's say roughly. So I think that if you don't have any players that play these classes that speak these languages, and you don't have a plot that has druids or thieves in it, then I just not use them. But if you are playing with a druid player, then most likely they're going to have a druid circle, and then it would be nice to incorporate this for them.
Also, hidden messages in druidic are it is mentioned that specifically messages can be in druidic.
Yeah, like say players are entering a sacred grove for whatever reason. If there's a druid there, then he can know that and maybe prepare or warn a party or just use that information in general.
Fun thing, not about druidic, but about thief scans. The way I actually use it is like you were also in this session. Yeah. If you can remember.
Yeah, no, I do remember it. I think it was a very nice...
the barkeep of a certain establishment, which has relations to like the underworld. Lost the
criminal underworld, I should say.
Criminal underworld. Thank you. Thank you for adding that. Criminal underworld. He would go up to every customer and say this specific line about wanting being able to serve a customer or something. But he also would, in Thiefscant, with every customer, ask them if they're interested in work or anything. And you, I think...
It wasn't me.
No, it wasn't you. No, but you got asked if you would like a drink or something. Yeah. And then in Thiefscant, the other player took notice of being asked for work.
Yeah.
And then you actually... Well...
Yeah, I was very impressed with that. That was a nice way of incorporating Thiefscant and also...
and getting you in the criminal underworld. Yeah.
It was good. Because that's what you mentioned earlier, right? That language barriers and languages themselves can be used to set up, used as a plot device. There would be an instance where the language itself is used to set up a much larger quest. Yeah. And at the moment where a rogue uses their specific class ability to uncover this conspiracy with his bard keep, there's virtually no way they're going to say no, right? Because at this point they're just curious. So I think that's a great way of using a Thiefscant. And I'm sure there's similar ways to incorporate Druidic as well.
Yeah, well,
that's very nice.
I haven't personally figured out anything for Druidic because I'm not into druids, but...
Once again, we should get our good friend over. Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe next session of this particular campaign, there will be, wandering outside of a city, and on a random tree there we scribbled something, and there's a grove of druids waiting for you. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I think it's been almost half an hour already.
Ooh.
So maybe we should get into our next segment. I actually also wanted to pitch another segment to you. So
a bit weird in the podcast.
Yeah, I kind of like
you have my you have my attention.
So, of course, episode 5 just went live a couple of days ago, and I think a bit that people really enjoyed was our discussion about
cheese.
Yeah, about
or
cheese,
butter,
bread. So maybe instead of doing Monster of the Week, we should do Sandwich of the Week.
All right.
Where...
So tell me, what is your favorite sandwich?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I choose the monster for this episode, so I think it's only fair if you pitch me a sandwich.
All right. Then you give me a bit short notice, but
That's kind of the point. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I like a sandwich with cheese and jam,
Okay, I think
like
we have
jelly.
I think we have to move on because already you're gonna offend a lot of people with that. Among which is me. So yeah, no,
I'll make one for you later.
absolutely not.
But you don't like my pitch of cheese and jelly sandwich?
Quite frankly, I hate it. So let's move on to our actual segment because you've kind of turned this against me. I don't appreciate it, to be honest. No, monster of the week. I was a bit lazy, we'll say. So I'm trying to buy time by doing this weird sandwich bit. So I picked a monster that's I'd say relatively iconic if you're familiar with D&D. It also doesn't really have a complicated lore.
It's a beholder.
How would it be a beholder? Beholders are really complex.
Dragons.
Also wrong.
Giants.
I'll give you some hints, and maybe then you'll
Alright,
have a better time guessing.
Elementals.
Oh my god! So they're a creature type.
They're
We
creature
have,
type.
Not covered yet.
Aberration.
And I'll say that I think they are the least common creature type. Maybe at the same tier as the plant creature type would be.
Yeah, we covered plants. The first. So in that we covered
Yes.
aberrations. I'm not sure.
Uh,
Monstrosity. I'm pretty sure we covered.
yeah, we covered 2 monstrosities, I think.
Elementals we covered. We
Yes.
covered. Did we cover shape changers?
Is that a difference? I think there's
No,
still humanoids.
we
right?
didn't. We didn't cover shape changers. Are there
But-
werewolves or any other kind of were?
I'd say werewolves are relatively common. Well, where's the monster manual? Because I thought we had it earlier. I can open it up. Okay. So my final hint for you is that it's a creature that resembles a certain food type. This is a bit of a weird hint, actually.
Resembles a certain food type. You've absolutely lost me. But I think it might be a shape changer now.
So, do you know of any foods that can shapeshift?
No,
Okay, cool.
but
Just
like, is it the wall? Like,
No.
that like.
it is in fact an ooze, the gelatinous cube.
Oh, gelatinous cube. That does not shape change.
No, of course not. Why did you think it was a shape changer?
Well, because it's. You said it does changes into food.
I said it resembles food.
Yeah, it's, my bad. It's
Gelatin, right? I guess it's not really food. It was a mean hint. I'm sorry.
yeah. That was indeed a mean hand.
Once again, I'm buying time. So
But gelatinous cube. Yeah, I love these things. I actually know quite something about them, but
you do? There's not much to know.
I love to hear your take on them.
Yeah. So I did prepare some notes, though it's very short. So gelatinous cubes, for anyone that's unfamiliar, are large oozes. An ooze is a creature type.
No.
That's
They're always cubes.
what?
They're not just oozes.
So the ooze is their creature type.
Yeah, sure, but they're cubes. It's
Yeah.
in the name.
They are cubes, but they're an ooze. That's their... Okay, you're being annoying. So, oozes are like slime sludges, and this particular thing is a gelatin cube. That's the entire concept. It's large, so it's 2x2 squares, and the idea is that it's whenever you touch it or walk into it, you're kind of like trapped in this giant block of gelatin.
And it pulls you in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like flesh dissolves basically in it.
Yeah.
So you start taking I think it's
Acid.
acid damage. Yeah. And these things are transparent. So you'll find these in dungeons. It's just sitting in corners. And because it's completely dark and your players can't see anything, they'll just walk right into one and take loads of acid damage. And that's really how they're supposed to be used, I guess. They're kind of like this weird, almost like half trap, half monster, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Most of the oozes are, right?
Yeah, I'd say so. They're all kind of well, not everyone, because there are some
like
weirder
they're
oozes.
they're ambush creatures. Let's just define them as that. Yeah.
Definitely. I'd say the offer oozes more so than the gelatinous cube, which really just is there, and then your players just take the wrong turn and just end up being engulfed. But yeah, generally I'd say so. Though I'm also fairly certain that there are other oozes that aren't in the monster manual that are definitely not like that. I think there's like a specific kind of ooze that can shapeshift and form different
Oblex?
humanoid. Yeah, I think they're ooblex, yeah.
Yeah.
They also relate to mind flare lore or something like that.
Yeah, there's something psychic about them. I never really read up on them, but I've browsed past them a couple of times.
I remember them being relevant to the Underdark campaign, but me just never wanted to actually use them because they are relatively high CR.
I think they're also pretty confusing.
Yeah,
like, in lore wise to get right.
And even if you set up like a trap, it's weird because they like form this humanoid as a part of their ooze, but it still leaves a little tendril that I don't.
Yeah, so
this is about
Gelatinous
cubes,
cubes.
not about confusing shapes. We're just 6 sides, right? Cube.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're really described as creatures that are like almost native to dungeons. Mm-hmm. Really employed by like wizards or whoever just casually keeps a dungeon to kind of keep the place clean.
Yeah,
because they
eat anything biological.
Anything that's flesh. And they just clean things up by moving around the dungeon. So
how would you say it moves around? Like it's a cube. Does it like flip over?
Oh, absolutely
or does it
not.
slowly crawls? Like a snail.
Its speed is 15 feet, so I think it like literally just slides. Not like a snail. Like I hate the idea of its sides like going up slightly and down again, like making this weird like swoosh. I can't even describe
like
the motion.
D6 rolling, you know? That's kind of what.
Also not that. No. I think they just slide without moving at all. There's just something strange about them that allows them to do that.
I would really like if they would just, every time they move 5 feet, they would just flip over.
That immediately ruined the point. They'd no longer be stealthy because you hear like a every time.
That's how I'm gonna rule them anyway.
Yeah, I was about to say you can run them wherever you want. Indeed.
So, if you ever encounter Gelatinous Cube, be careful because it might just, in one movement, run over all your party and everyone gets strapped into it.
That is something they can do.
Yeah.
That's
a literal attack.
Yeah. So I didn't know this was a thing until I read it like a few hours ago. They have this ability, it's engulf, where they literally just move their speed, which is 15 feet, which, that's not very fast. So they can't really use it all that well. But they...
you can, what's the term again? You can outrun and kite them. You can kite them.
Yeah, you can kite them. Cubes, yeah.
But the fun thing is that I like to run them in enclosed spaces, like in dungeon rooms and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's describe the attack first, Walter. One step at a time. So they move their speed, which is 15 feet, and then any creature they touch whilst they're moving has to make, I think it's a dexterity check, or else they get engulfed, which is the effect which is described, where they will take acid damage.
Yeah, I absolutely love Gelatinous cubes.
I think it's great. It's such a memey monster. It just is a block of gelatin that just traps people crazy.
You gotta have those. It's honestly...
It's kind of like the Mimic in a way. I think the Mimics are more fleshed out. They get a lot more lore than a Gelatinous Cube, which just exists. But it's kind of the same thing, right? It's just this weird half trap, half monster.
I actually don't know how they procreate. Do they split?
I do know this. There's multiple ways. And I got really excited as a...
is it like when they take thunder damage they split, or is that other oozes?
That's a different ooze.
Yeah.
The way it works is that they have 2 ways of doing this. So the traditional, classical way is they indeed divide, and you get 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it just splits itself down the middle.
Yeah,
well, then there wouldn't be
cell
cubes,
division
actually.
kind of things.
No, wait.
They
If you divide a cube in two, you'll never end up with two cubes.
no, but
How
they're
does this work?
they're an ooze, so they also attack. They create pseudopods for grabbing victims, and then they
But
return
this
to
one
being a
doesn't do
cube.
that. Oh wait, it does. It does a pseudopod attack. Never mind. Okay, I guess. Yeah, then
So-
they can do that.
Their normal state is like a cube, but they can shapeshift if they like. Yeah, they can.
I
They
don't
can.
think they can, because usually they have the amorphous trait if they can do that, and this one can't.
But
Because amorphous allows them to squeeze into tight spaces.
yeah, fair.
And this one doesn't have that. So it's weird. But
It can't get through doors, then, does it?
what doesn't have arms?
No, but like open doors.
No, I guess not. Maybe it just like
I-
run through the door and then the door is inside of it.
I never.
Because it's larger than a door, I think.
Yeah, but then if you have a stone wall, where like the door is lodged in the stone wall.
Well, they're not intelligent, so they're just gonna keep walking circles in whatever room they are, I guess.
Yeah.
Their intelligence
So
is
that's
literally
the way
one.
you keep them in your dungeon.
Yeah, you just make sure they can never get out.
Yeah.
Because also you wouldn't want it, because then you
By the
lose
way-
your like free cleaning staff.
If you're like engulfed in them, isn't there a way with fire that you can get
Fire?
people out?
I don't think so.
I might be confused with Mimic right now, but I think there's...
Writing it right now. No, so you have to make a strength check to get out.
just a strength check.
Yeah.
Alright, well then.
That's. I think.
That's-
Yeah, no. There's nothing
That's
else.
gonna be pretty scary for that -2 strength wizard.
Yeah, but then usually they should be in the back line.
Yeah, but this thing is an ambush predator, so it doesn't care about backlines
That's
most
true.
of the time.
Though I don't think it's even smart enough to ambush. Its intelligence is literally 1. So it probably just sits there, and you're gonna have to set it up in a way where your players ambush themselves, I guess. Which you can do because it's just transparent.
Or
I
you
think
can
it's,
just make a smarter person turn it into a trap.
Yeah, exactly. But they Netherlands cubes themselves. I mean, it depends how you'd run them, right? I think you can make an argument for running them as just these random things that wouldn't even attack players once they notice them. That they would just keep moving around in a circle, and then if the players are just not on their path, they won't get attacked. Because they don't even have an alignment. They're unaligned. They're literally too stupid to have an alignment. There probably are like intelligence 1 creatures that do have an alignment, but generalist cubes don't.
That's a good argument. They're too stupid to have an alignment.
Yeah.
I like it.
So yeah, overall, I think it's a nice creature. I think the engulf ability, which is where they try to eat multiple people, is great, because if you catch people unaware, then they can like run over multiple people, and then once they're in that cube, they're gonna have to make their strength checks to get out.
Yeah.
So if you use them well in a fight, maybe even as a trap,
How
to
much
as a backup to an
acid
actual
damage?
larger fight.
How much acid damage does it do to people that are engulfed?
It's a CR2 creature, so it's not a lot. They take, let's see. Oh, gee.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Okay, so if they initially get hit,
Yeah.
it's only 3d6. But then if they can't get out, then at the start of the cube's turn, they take 21 damage, 66.
66.
Yeah.
That's basically a fireball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. And if it catches you off guard, then it counts as a surprise round. That's like written in a stat book.
That means if
That
you're
means you are going
unlucky,
to take the
2
damage
guaranteed.
immediately. Yeah.
that can honestly mean...
And this is tier 2, so that means that it can indeed just insta-kill a player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty messed up.
yeah, always read your stat blocks before using something in combat, kids.
Yeah. Ooh. So,
Banshee.
I'm not gonna respond to that. We'll have to cover that once we actually do a Banshee as a Monster of the Week.
Fair enough.
So I implore you to do that for next week, or if you do want to.
We already covered that, so I now have to do something else.
You have to homebrew your own monster.
Yeah, no, just new creature type.
Yeah.
Or did we cover them all?
No, definitely not.
Nah.
There's way more. I think you could do beasts. Just cover wolves.
Alright, we're gonna talk about bats.
Yeah. The most
Swarm
exciting
of
episode.
bats.
I don't think we done humanoids yet.
I actually covered, but I got a lot of them.
Drow, you mean? The Drow episode?
Wait, no.
Or...
I covered where Drow touched on demons, but not actually.
But they're not
stuff
like
blocks,
really
yeah.
demons, not classic demons.
No, but like.
But we'll say we covered demons. So you can do devils. Well, I wouldn't do devils, because devils are
Fiends.
confusing as shite.
They're fiends.
Yeah, okay, but
Devils
I mean,
and demons.
if you're gonna tell a devil that it's a fiend and it's the same as a demon, you get stabbed, really. Like, good luck with that. Well, actually, they're lawful creatures, so maybe they would acknowledge it. I'm not a devil. Maybe we should, like, call one and ask him, but we should get Maarten on. Well, he's a demon, but, you know. Okay, getting off topic. Yeah. So, Gelatinous cubes, cool ambush creatures. I think we've covered most things about them.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, the second way they reproduce, because they have two ways. The first one was
Is the other way just create?
No, so they it's called budding, which is something that yeasts can do in the real world, not D&D yeast.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure D&D yeast can do something.
Yeah, well, D&D yeast would just be regular yeasts, right? So yes, they can also do it in D&D. But if you find a way to incorporate
or whatever it
budding yeast into your campaign without like specifically brewing, then
I've stopped
I don't
listening.
know how. Either way, they split off a tiny part of themselves, and then that's like the second Gelatinous cube. But then it's like a very tiny like baby little Gelatinous cube.
Yeah,
so
that's gonna eat plants and algae until it grows or something.
Yeah, or just get killed immediately. It really depends.
Yeah, that's.
So I think I'm not sure. See, if any actual biologists listen to this, I am one kind of like molecular biology. They might get mad at me, but I think the way it works in yeast is that they do it whenever they get too large. They do budding, or maybe it's for survival. Oh, I shouldn't make any comments on this. Forget that. Either way, the way I'd assume that it worked with Gelatinous cubes is that when they get too big, they do budding. Maybe if like in between too big and a little big, so they can split, then they would use budding, I'd say. Or maybe it's a passive effect. Either way, there's a reason to use baby Gelatinous cubes if you want to just stick a horde on your players.
A horde?
Yeah.
Baby. Would they make... I think baby Gelatinous cubes might, if they're like enough, make some bigger Gelatinous cubes.
Well, that's something they can do as well. So they can reform.
Yeah. And
become a larger cube once again. But that can only be for a few days, after which they have to come apart again.
Really?
Yeah. That's from the D&D wiki, so it's slightly less accurate. Because that kind of combines the 5 different editions.
Did it mention why?
No, I don't think so. It was a very short wiki, which is once again why I covered it.
Maybe they're low intelligence. They are like individual beings, Gelatinous cubes, and it just takes them a couple of days to realize they've connected with something else, and they're like,
this isn't my body.
Yeah,
I gotta get out of here.
Like that.
Oh, maybe that'd be nice. Actually, that'd be funny. Yeah. But the way I use this is if you get like 8 regular Gelatinous cubes together, then you can create a gargantuan Gelatinous cube.
You just have like one room where you put 6 Gelatinous cubes in it and just watch what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. And then it becomes a much more difficult encounter for your players. Because then you might like reasonably say, well, maybe it does have a slightly more movement if it's that big. So maybe it can catch up to you. And considering the fact it's so gargantuan, maybe it's harder to escape. And you can make it into a high level encounter if you'd like.
Mm-hmm. And definitely upskill the health.
Yeah.
The more bigger
course,
it gets, it's logical to upscale it itself.
Although it is already very tanky for the CR it has, because it has 84 hit points.
Does it have a lot of resistances and stuff? Being a cube, I guess
it has none. It just has condition immunities, which are the typical ones for oozes. So like stuff like blinding and charm.
So like if you do, if you slash at it with a sword, it'll do full damage.
Yep. Basically, yeah. We should just cut away a part of the gelatin, I guess.
As well as piercing?
Yeah, none of it's in here. With other oozes, they do have a lot of immunities to damage, but the Gelatinous Cube does not care for it.
I guess it's just really hard for a Gelatinous Cube to shift its shape.
It's weird, because I also wonder how you'd kill it. Like, would you chop away enough like gelatin for it to no longer be considered alive? It's kind of a weird...
Or at a certain moment, it just...
dissolves, maybe? I don't know, like...
dies and just melts away?
Or maybe it just stays the same, but now it's no longer moving? So many questions.
Yeah.
Like,
maybe if it dies, it reforms after, like, 48 hours?
Yeah, I don't know. No, that's definitely not in there, actually. So I don't think that's the case. Though, I'm not sure. I really am not sure.
There's a lot of creative freedom they give with this monster.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the idea of a gargantuan, like, it's a Gelatinous Cube, right? That's my contribution as far as a homebrew. But you can even upscale that, say, oh, well, now we've got these gargantuan Gelatinous Cubes. Let's add 8 more.
Eating entire worlds.
Yeah, exactly. Just put it in a town and let's see what happens.
Yeah,
you know?
Like... the big bad evil, or the big bad evil end boss of a campaign isn't like is mentioned as this what's it called again? Tarrasque.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you finally get to the Tarrasque is stuck in this huge cube.
Yeah. Or you can get even weirder with it.
Yeah.
What if there's like 8 wizards, right?
Yeah.
And they all have these like really large Gelatinous cubes, and they build their fortress on top of it.
Ooh.
But then...
Why specifically 8 wizards?
Just because the wizards are smart, so they know how to cultivate these cubes, of course.
But why 8?
Well, I'll get to that. Because 8, it has to be cube, right? So all of these wizards meet, and the cube kind of joins, right? So now they get this giant castle with this giant cube at the base.
With 8 different mages towers on top of them.
Yeah, so it's like the Power Rangers.
Oh god, no.
And then it's like, oh, they can like try to ruin the world.
After 2 days, they reckon, oh wait, we're not all this cube, and then they split apart again.
And then they can split and flee. And then the guards are going to be like, well, we got 8 guys to chase, I guess we'll just choose one. You know?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is terrible. Let's make it into a fucking campaign.
Gotta create like unique mechanics for Gelatinous cube fortresses.
I just see like this gelatinous cubes with this like weird leather strap around it.
Yeah.
Having this tower on top of a saddle or something.
Yeah.
That's
you could like make it so that maybe the wizards are like really small. They're like tiny creatures.
Gnomes. Yeah.
No, not even gnomes. You could make them like pixies or something. Well, then they could fly, so then it wouldn't make any sense. So it wouldn't even have to be a very large Gelatinous cube, right? So then it would like even. It would be realistic to say, oh, this is like a slightly larger Gelatinous cube, and we're not creating these weird like Titan homebrew cubes. This is really a lot here. There's a lot of potential, a lot of things you can do with them.
We're having a lot of fun with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm happy you brought this up.
Yeah. I think, though, we are going to have to wrap it up soon.
Yeah, I think
so I had one last question for you. Just, if you were a player, and I thought about this as well, so maybe we can together find the answer. What would be your technique of preventing a Gelatinous cube ambush? If you're like entering dungeons.
Preventing one?
Yes. Because I've got a weird one. But maybe you'll manage to come up with a better one. Of course, I'm putting you in the spot. I had some time to think about it. So it's not really fair. But
they do not give away any magical sensation, right? So detect magic would work. They don't have thoughts. They are not locatable by locate object or monster.
Man, maybe locate monster.
Yeah, well, you're not gonna check for every monster inside of a dungeon, right? Maybe throwing ball bearings around.
That's good. Yeah. So just like keep tossing them wherever you go. If you're like an artificer, you can like make a machine that like shoots them through a hallway or something.
Yeah, like weapons that you can throw and then they return.
Boomerangs.
Like, yeah, just make that, but then with ball bearings. If you throw like ball bearings around and there's nothing there, they just return.
I just picture an entire party of adventurers just throwing boomerangs through hallways for no goddamn reason. Just like the entire day, like.
just like random walking through the street of a city, throwing boomerangs.
And like the lich that's like in charge of the dungeon is like looking at this like from on top of his tower, like what the hell are these guys doing? And then
are they playing games?
Now one of the boomerangs like gets launched into a gelatinous cube. Oh my god, they're geniuses! I gotta get out of here. They're too strong. That was actually a good one. So what I would do, this is based on a historical fact, is keep a bird that's always flying in front of you. Because then the second the bird enters the cube, it's gonna get dissolved. And then you know, oh, there's a cube there. And then you don't have to keep like chucking boomerangs. And this relates to something they used to do in coal mines. Where they'd have a bird in a cage, and then if
the bird would just faint. They wouldn't just
it die, because there'd be... I don't remember what gas it was.
Yeah, well, just mining gases.
It's a specific one.
I'd probably just not be just one. Won't be just one.
Oh, yeah, maybe, yeah. So then the bird faints or dies from the gas before the miners do, and then they can get out. So here it would be... kind of similar. I mean, not really.
I prefer my ball bearings.
Yeah. Well, it's more, it's less animal cruelty.
Yeah. But it'd be a pain to pick all those ball bearings. I agree with you on that.
Well, and then you do run into a gelatinous cube, and then you try to go back, but then you trip on your own ball bearing.
And then you still get engulfed.
Yeah. And then you're like in this cube with all these like ball bearings around you, like a final reminder of how you messed up before you get dissolved and just.
Do they actually dissolve bones?
No.
So you have this. Oh my god! I'm gonna run this gelatinous cube with a skeleton and a lot of ball bearings into it.
But that's when it becomes easier, because that's actually like mentioned in their set block. I think that if there's something in them, then you can see them, so they're not that stealthy anymore. The artwork in the Mons Mail also looks quite nice. There's like these bones in it, and like a shield. Mm-hmm. It's quite nice.
It actually, wow.
It looks like it's a nucleus. The shield, so it almost looks like it's a cell or something. Sorry, I'm being nerdy again.
Mitochondria is the powerhouse of a cell.
Yes, it most definitely is. But I guess in this picture, the mitochondria would be like, I don't know, maybe like some loose fragments of cell, because the nucleus would be the largest part of the cell naturally. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know this, I know this, other listeners. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it is genuinely like high school biology, though.
Yeah. So. I'm just not interested in that.
No, no one that's listening is interested to me, except for me, who is listening this to check if the audio is okay. I'm just checking my notes, but I think we've covered everything.
There was one comment I want to talk about.
Oh, here we go. Yes,
there was one comment. I believe it was Maarten. Thank you for your comment.
Yeah, so we have now name dropped him. I actually did so earlier already.
Well, it's already on the previous episode, so fuck you.
Have we stated his name before?
Well, no, but it's in the comment section.
Oh yeah, of course. Never. I don't know why I'm so concerned about his privacy.
Anyway,
we keep name dropping Ralph as well.
He's asking how to make players show up for sessions.
Oh, you've just recently been reading these comments, haven't you?
Yeah.
This is from I think our second episode.
Fuck you. I've seen this one. I remembered it.
I already replied to that comment.
Yeah, I know.
That was my reply.
Yeah.
You're stealing my own comment from me.
So, what would be your fix to that comment.
I'm genuinely really offended that you'd peddle this off as your own idea. No, this is a reference I made because I'm, all of the people that are really busy are busy with, studying in school. So I suggested that you should just stop them from being enrolled into master programs or studying programs. So essentially ruin your player's life. Which I think, from a moral standpoint, would be okay. Because they also try to ruin your sessions. If you're a good DM, your sessions are your life. So I think that's fair. So yeah, I think... Actually, I probably shouldn't say what I'm about to say. Because even if I am joking, it
Alright,
still be illegal.
this part is we are joking. No, go and make it.
I don't think... Let's just say it. The comment I was about to make involved schools and lots of fire. But, well, yeah.
Yes, kids, fireballs.
I don't really have a filter, so... Well, apparently I do, because I just managed to stop myself, but... Yeah, it's kind of hard to not make those inflammatory comments if you're on an online platform.
Well,
you have any...
You refrained from saying it, but we all know what you were talking about.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But I didn't say it explicitly, so if somebody
yeah, right.
burns down a school tomorrow, it's not gonna be because I said they should, because I didn't. We're really...
That's a weird thing of you to say.
Is it?
Burning down a school? Whoa, man.
Okay.
No.
Do you have any dirty laundry you want to air before we end this, Walter? Anyone you want to call out?
No, my conscience
not even me.
My conscience is clear.
Wow, that's great. Then I guess...
You might...
Well, I can't do that either then, because I'm going to look like an asshole if I'm going to be like, oh, you were bad. If you're not going to do that, then, I'm not going to do that either, I guess. Let's end it.
Okay.
Final wisdom?
Not really wisdom, but I have really enjoyed this episode once again.
Me too. I like the chaos.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
Thank you for listening, and hopefully until the next episode.
Yeah.
I wanted to say next week, but let's not do that.
And until next episode.
Farewell.